got caught. Okay, and we are live. It is ludicrous, right, to accuse some of the JKD stalwarts of getting into the game, getting into the business of Jeet Kune just to make money. All right. Hello, everyone. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Rebel. Welcome to the I Love Jeet Kune broadcast number 297. This is the one about how to commercialize Jeet Kune. As you're logging in, if you'd be kind enough to say where you're logging in from, hit the like button and feel free to continue doing so throughout the broadcast. If you're catching the simulcast over on the YouTube, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit notification bell as well. But of course, the best thing you can do is to share this video and spread the word about the I Love Jeet Kune broadcast. All right, so two things that galvanized me into fleshing out today's topic. So one of them is an oft-repeated comment from some in the sector that Dan Inosanto is kind of a martial arts cheat because he took money from people who were expecting to learn about Jeet Kune, but instead he taught them other things while profiting from his name association with Bruce Lee. The other thing was hearing on last week's Jeet Kune dialogue with Terry Valor and Russell Dulai and Kurt Cornwell, that there are JKD instructors who out there, like with their first meetings with prospective students, like they get into a discussion about whether the person is interested in original Jeet Kune or Jeet Kune concepts, right? So that kind of added to what I had already had planned to say about the commercialization of Jeet Kune, because those two things got me to thinking there are some really dumb people out there in the JKD world. All right, so let's take a look at pros and cons, so to speak, of Jeet Kune becoming a commercial entity in the world of public martial arts. So one pro is increased awareness and access, right? I'll give you a short history lesson. In July of 1973, what most of the world knew about Jeet Kune was not much. It really wasn't, right? Bruce Lee had made a few movies, and so the world was aware that this former Hong Kong child actor was now a kung fu star, but that was pretty much it. They knew him as a martial arts actor. Now, after July 20th, 1973, it became a different thing. As with any accidental death or premature death of a celebrity, the desire for more and more information increases, right? So the demand for more knowledge about Bruce Lee led to, in some instances, it led to the creation of this. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. This is Fighting Stars magazine. And this went live, I believe, in October of 1973. So if I have it right, this is the cover of volume 1, issue number 1, right, in October 73. So July, August, September. So 3 months after Bruce Lee passed away, this is what started to happen, right? The dissemination of more information about Bruce Lee as not just a movie star, but then stuff about him as a martial artist. So in April of 74, Dan Inosanto opened up the Junfan Kung Fu Academy at Junfan Kung Fu and Filipino Kali Academy, so that in somewhat his own words, they had a place where they could continue to follow the path that Bruce Lee had blazed. And so it was in those early days, Torrance, California, was pretty much the only place in the world where authentic Jeet Kune instruction could be obtained. So this is April 74. Now, fast forward just a few years, like maybe 5 or 6 years, and requests for seminars start to come in. And that's how, I think it was in 1979 or 1980, that Bob Breen brought Dan Inosanto over to the United Kingdom. Now, fast forward a decade and a half or so, let's say 1989, the first year that I brought Inosanto to Miami. Seminars have now in the pages of the martial arts magazines, there used to be a thing called happenings or the events section. And in the beginning, the events were all tournaments. Tournament over here, tournament over there, tournament down the street, and what have you. By 1989, when I started bringing Insano to Miami, we would get listings in Black Belt or Inside Kung Fu. And the event section was now seminars. It was no longer tournaments. Seminars almost 100% displaced tournaments in terms of what was going on in the martial art world. So that seminar activity, which is a commercial aspect because people are charging money to come teach and what have you. Seminar instruction led to what? The realization that the art could be spread internationally in some cases by starting to certify people as instructors. So that led to another degree of commercialization. So instructor certification leads to the incredible spread of the art around the world. And in the early days, it was pretty much Sifu Asano and like his top people, you know, the Vunats and the Kents and the Magdas and the Richardsons, those guys who were doing most of the seminar instruction, the traveling seminar instruction. After the formation of the Jeet Kune nucleus, other lesser known, but even more senior instructors, they joined in and they also became regulars on the seminar circuit. So now we have a bunch of people who are out there involved in the commercial dissemination of Jeet Kune knowledge. So this degree of activity, it helps to preserve Bruce Lee's legacy. It can keep his teachings and his philosophy alive, and it can ensure that generations of martial artists, they can learn from Bruce Lee's wisdom, learn from Bruce Lee's contributions to the martial art world and what have you. As in any other area of commerce, this degree of activity creates opportunities for instructors, like I mentioned before, for people to start opening schools. I was one of those people, even for equipment manufacturers. Now, some of you guys are not, haven't been around long enough to know that there was a time when JKD and Kali ruled the pages of, for example, Inside Kung Fu magazine. And when it came to equipment, there were sections in the advertisements for equipment and what have you that were all devoted to Jeet Kune. You know, equipment bags and focus mitts and the infamous Kempo gloves, right? And that type of stuff. So there was a lot of commercial opportunity for many people, right? Allowed people to start making a living by teaching JKD and provided students with a place to train and grow. Which was all a good thing, right? Now, there are also the potential drawbacks. So one immediate con, right, is the dilution of the art. There are a number of things that can lead to a loss of the art's true essence and effectiveness by dilution. There were people who, so for example, here's one. There were people from other arts who sought to capitalize on JKD's popularity. So now you don't know everybody who shows up for a seminar. So it's possible that somebody, and I've spoken about this before, and it happened, I don't know that it happened that much in the States or even in England, but it definitely happened in some foreign countries. So somebody shows up, attends a seminar, gets a certificate of participation, takes that certificate back home and uses that to pass himself off as a Jeet Kune instructor in his homeland, right? So that leads to a dilution of the art. There were other people who sought to train in Jeet Kune and add that to what they were doing. So for example, you might have, I'll just use Taekwondo because, you know, they're popular. So there were some people in Taekwondo who, remember how again, some of you guys might not remember this, but when the Kung Fu TV series became popular, there were literally karate schools that put Kung Fu up on their signs on the outside of their school, right? Because it was popular. So everybody comes in and people don't know the difference anyhow. So there were people who, Taekwondo schools that I know of personally, that started to add Jeet Kune Do to what they were doing because Jeet Kune Do was becoming more and more popular. Now, interestingly enough, that aspect of Jeet Kune Do as an add-on is visible in the schools of some JKD people, where the list of what they do, right? So there's Jeet Kune Do plus this, plus this, plus this, plus this, right? Which is an interesting phenomenon, because it shows, like I said just now, Jeet Kune Do is an add-on art. It's one of the arts that we do, as opposed to Jeet Kune Do being the driving force behind what they teach. Okay, so that can lead somewhat also to a dilution of the art. When you go commercial, all the problems that affect or affected the traditional martial arts schools over the years, they can kind of seep in and start to affect a Jeet Kune Do school because, well, human beings are human beings. And if there becomes an overemphasis on profit instead of a concern over the genuine development of your students, that desire to make money can overshadow the core principles and philosophy of Jeet Kune Do. Right. And then again, there's, with the spread and the popularity, there's ample opportunity for misrepresentation and exploitation. So some people start to present themselves as more than what they really are. And you know that proverb about in the land of the blind and the one-eyed man and what have you. So you get people who don't know much of anything at all about Jeet Kune Do, but they have more access to the information than others, and so they get to misrepresent themselves and exploit others or what have you. So where does this leave us, right? I'm sure there are some people who think that Jeet Kune Do, in order to remain pure, has to be a small group, backyard, garage type of situation, and not a big successful commercial school. Perhaps, who's to say? Is there a way to strike some kind of balance? The balance between commercialization and the preservation of the integrity of Jeet Kune Do. On the one hand, being commercial can help to spread the art, but then you got to do it responsibly. You got to emphasize stuff like, again, and this is something you hear all the time: quality over quantity, right? Quality of instruction, rather than getting as many students through the door as you can. That's easy for me to say. I don't run a big school anymore. When I did run my big school, I realized that Jeet Kune Do was the driving force. People called me about Jeet Kune Do. They didn't call me about karate. They didn't call me about well, we did get calls about Kali and Muay Thai as well, right? But you get what I'm saying. And so I labored intensively on how to keep the quality high while building up to that magic number of students that could get you financially to where you wanted to be. So quality, emphasize quality over quantity. Also be transparent as you know is good for you to be. Transparent about your lineage, for example, transparent about your training, transparent about your affiliations. That can help students to make informed decisions, right? But that's not the same thing as asking somebody, oh, well, you're interested in original Jeet Kune Do or Jeet Kune Do concepts. The person might never even have heard about that. And here's what you're presenting to them is that there's a perceived rift in the Jeet Kune Do world. And that's not what they're there for. So yes, be transparent, but don't start to include brand new people into the backroom brawling that might go on in JKD. Try to put a more positive spin on how you approach things, right? And as a moderator of a Jeet Kune page here on Facebook, community support is an important thing. This is something that we discussed at length on Friday in that panel discussion on the Jeet Kune dialogues, right? So as trite as this sounds, I encourage those of you here on the I Love Jeet Kune page to be strong, to be supportive of other JKD practitioners. And also, we should hold each other accountable, right? And in an effort to ensure that the purity of the art is maintained. So now that's going to require maturity on everyone's part, right? So this whole thing about instantly going on the attack and telling somebody why he's wrong or what he's wrong about, that's not where it's at. I've said this before. If you're not clear on what somebody is saying, what kind of point, because there's no intonation, right, on the internet. So if you don't know the person, you can't tell. I can tell when Mick Tully is making a joke. Other people think he's being serious, but I know Mick personally. I've known Mick for a number of years. I recognize his personality. I can tell when he's joking. So I don't take something seriously when he puts it up. Other people, it's 100% serious, but that's because there's no intonation on the internet. So you got to be a little bit smarter when you see stuff and when you read stuff, right? So be more supportive of each other. If you're not sure what somebody's trying to say, ask a question for clarification. Then go ahead and start replying or commenting. But don't go straight for the jugular, right? And start accusing people of stuff and start telling them what's wrong with their point of view and what have you. Somebody said that there was a post today that sounded a lot like high school, I think, right? And it's true. All right. So I want to talk about that a little bit, but I want to show you something, because when I was looking around for that Fighting Stars magazine, I found hang on one second. I gotta clear my deck here a little bit. But here's what I found out. Let me see if I have the pictures. If not, I'm gonna have to put them. All right, give me a second. Let me put these pictures up for you. I gotta show you this, because Fighting Stars magazine, I didn't know this, even though when I found out. Okay, so check this. That's one, and that's the other, right? Okay, dig this. So I showed you this one, which is volume 1, issue number 1 of Fighting Stars magazine. But what I did not know is that in 1987, I think it was, Fighting Stars became Ninja and Fighting Stars, or Fighting Stars and Ninja magazine. I thought that was interesting, right? Because I mean, it's commercialization. They're capitalizing on look at this, the ninja mystique, right? So it was blatantly an attempt to capitalize on that. But then, interestingly enough, this was 85 or so. It changed again. Same magazine became Martial Arts Weapons magazine, Fighting Stars Martial Arts Weapons magazine. And I don't think I collected this one. The cover looks familiar, but I don't think I collected this one. But I wonder if the proliferation and the popularity of Filipino martial arts had anything to do with this, or if it was just, that they realized that weapons in martial arts was a big thing. And so they changed the format of their magazine. So I just thought that was an interesting aside. All right, so I don't want to leave you today on a downer, but we do have to bring this up. And I'm going to name names simply for everyone's edification. So there was a cat named Brian Ramos who started posting, and from probably his very first post, people started jumping on him. I kind of came to his defense and said, from what I see, he's not only new to the I Love Jeet Kune Do group, he's also new to Jeet Kune Do. So let's give him a chance and see where it goes. And he started to put these posts out, and everything was like designed to create controversy. And you know me, I'm not into that at all. So I tried to moderate stuff and what have you. And today, what happened? So I woke up this morning, did my writing, took a quick look at Facebook, and there was something about if it's possible for somebody to be certified, and then there was a list of names, and if it's also possible for somebody to be able to train under a bunch of names. Well, of course it's possible. All right. I have certifications in Filipino martial arts, in Jeet Kune Do, in Boxe Française Savate, and in Mafilindo Silat, and in I forgot something, whatever, right? So I have instructorship credentials in about 5 things. The thing about it, though, is that 4 of those are there simply because I trained in them to that level, but 4 of those are there to serve one thing. So my credentials in Muay Thai, in Savate, in Silat, in Kali are there to serve Jeet Kune Do. There's no other reason for them. They just happen to be things that we were able to train in up to that level. But I was never I was never looking to go, oh, I have 5 instructor credentials or whatever. There's only one instructor credential important to me, and that's my Jeet Kune Do credential. Similarly, I could have become a student, a certified instructor under different JKD people. But to me, there was no need for that because I had instructorship from the guy who mattered most to me, and that's Dan Inasano. That's my personal preference. If somebody else wanted to be certified under whomever, Ted Wong, Tim Tackett, whoever, whatever, that's fine. To me, the only thing that mattered was certification under Dan Inasano. So I answered the question and said, yes, it is entirely possible. A guy can put in the time, right, and be certified as an instructor. And of course, a guy can train under all these different people. If he travels or whatever, if they live in his town, of course, he can train under multiple people. But then I go to train a couple clients, and then I come back, and the person who posted it, who went by the name James Steele, that account has now been changed, and it's now somebody called Sifu Tandez. Now I recognize the surname Tandez and the photograph because Adrian Tandez up in Northern California is a colleague of mine. He is an instructor also under Dan Inasano. So I recognize it. And I know that Adrian Tandez is not active on the I Love Jeet Kune Do page. So I realized that whoever it is behind this particular post captured an image of Adrian Tandez and gave a name. And when you look at it, it's one of those almost fake Facebook accounts. And the person, whoever, has been a member of the I Love Jeet Kune Do page for about a week and a half. So it's very suspect. And what it is an attempt to personalize an attack on one of the page members, Jeremiah Gill. And we're not having it. So I spoke to Jeremiah and I said, look, I can take down the thing if you want. He says, no, leave it up so that everything can be clarified. People can go and see everything and see and see his legitimacy and what have you. So I left it up not because I want to encourage this type of nonsense. I left it up at Jeremiah's request, just so people could see for themselves. But this is what I'm imploring you guys to be. Be smarter about what you're doing as much as you can. And I know it's difficult for people to do this. Depersonalize or impersonalize, whatever the word is. Do not take these things personal. There is no intonation on the internet. Okay. There's the thing about if there's something on TV, change the channel. If there's something on Facebook that you're not into, leave it alone. You don't have to comment. You don't have to comment and tell people this is not what you're into. Because by getting involved in it, you're now into it, even if it's just for a couple of minutes. Leave it alone. Go to another page. Get off Facebook or something. Go hunt stuff down on Instagram. You do not have to inject yourself into everything that you see there. But I can tell you, taking a page out of the guy who's going to be, taking a page from the book of the guy who's going to be my guest on Friday. So I'll let you know that right now. Michael Marcellus Brown, he's going to come on the show on Friday, and I guarantee you this type of stuff is going to be discussed, right? So yeah, just leave well enough alone. I think that if we start to do that, ignore stuff, there are some people who are going to realize, you know what, these people are not taking my bait anymore. And I never saw, I didn't see this coming down the pipe for myself. But I think I will start deleting crap. Okay, I never wanted to be a censor, right, or what have you. But essentially, it's this. If, in my opinion, it's not moving the art forward, if it's not about training, exchanging ideas and what have you, if it's about, well, who's this guy certified under, and how many hours did this guy have under Bruce Lee and what have you, if it's that stuff, I think I'm just going to get rid of it, right? We'll see. Maybe that backfires on me. I don't know. But before you post something, if ask yourself, will this serve to move the art and philosophy of Jeet Kune Do forward? Or is this just a personality driven thing, and it's going to end up a discussion about who said what, who did what, and what have you? There's enough of that nonsense going on. Okay. And that's probably why so many people in the world, everybody in the world knows who Bruce Lee is, but they don't know about his art of Jeet Kune Do. Maybe that's our fault for being such idiots about this stuff. All right. That's all I got to say. Okay. All right. Thank you guys for letting me rant on that a little bit. So what say you? What's your thoughts on commercializing or not commercializing Jeet Kune Do? You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. That's all I got to say about this video. If you like what you heard, and maybe even learn something, please comment, rate, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Follow me on Twitter at Dwight Woods and on Instagram at Dwight D. Woods. At paypal.me/UnifiedMA paypal.me/UnifiedMA The Jeet Kune Do Journey Volume 1 is available. paypal.me/UnifiedMA You can support the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast over at jkdrebel.com. Click on the Rebel Gear link, and that's where you'll see stuff like this. The JKD Notables t-shirt also available as coffee mug and that type of stuff. That's what some model of the coffee mugs looks like. And that's jkdrebel.com. Click on the Rebel Gear link. But again, of course, the best thing you can do is to share this video and spread the word about the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast. All right. So like I said, Michael Marcellus Brown will be with me at 6:30. I forgot to tell you that, at 6:30, because I gotta run some errands on Friday. So Mick Tully, Mark Black, Everybody in the UK, I'm sorry that we're going to be starting 30 minutes later. So if you guys can't wait up, you know, I fully understand it. Okay. All right. So that's it. Until next time, this is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Rebel, signing off. You guys have a good one. Be safe. Take care. Talk soon.